we are not just taking the data that's already in Amazon, already in Walmart, already in TikTok, because an Amazon MCP, which exists, could just do that. What
Right.
I wanted us to think about, what the teams thought about, and they've done a great job, is they've taken some of the data that's proprietary in our app. We've got so much data regarding optimization data, content data, especially with RE catalog, that's in our platform and not on Amazon, not on Walmart, not on TikTok.
Hmm.
And so that's what we're exposing with the MCP strategy.
Alistair, you were at Cannes recently. What came out of that? What came out of the Cannes? We're not talking about that's not the main point of the conversation today. I just want to bring it up and hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, look, I've been to Cannes, I think maybe 5 years in a row. And, it's just really interesting to see just the dominance of these big tech companies like Amazon. I remember when I first went to Cannes, it was literally Amazon meeting in a hotel room. And
Wow.
now they've got this huge concept called the Amazon ports, and they're really taking over. And, over those last 5 years, Amazon's this juggernaut of an ads company, right? And with Amazon Video and Prime TV. And so they had all these incredible celebrities there, um, really kind of talking about what's interesting actually relating to e-commerce. It's all about the non-endemic marketing aspect of Amazon,
Hmm.
meaning um, Prime TV, Fire TV, content, um, true advertising, and that's kind of really where Amazon's showing up. I would say the same thing on the Walmart side.
Hmm.
Um, Walmart, again, similar to Amazon, has kind of evolved and got bigger and bigger and bigger. They bought Vizio and announced that, earlier in the year. And whilst I was at Cannes, they announced buying Vibe, um, which was a really big deal, actually. And
Yeah.
what we're talking about on this podcast, I mean, they announced Vibe being acquired for $1.4 billion, which is a smaller company really in the measurement space to help connected television, CTV,
Right.
be successful. So, um, yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool event, and of course TikTok was front and center as well as it continues to be more on the creator economy side of things.
Yeah, I'm sure. This I mean our conversation today is about our own MCP relative to AI. Was AI a part of the conversation in Cannes as well, or was it mostly creative?
Clearly, it hasn't peaked in terms of functionality. It's just like going to an event like Cannes and saying we've got something with AI. That marketing message is just diluted because
Right.
everyone's already done that last year and the year before.
Yeah.
And so you're starting to see, companies that are actually doing different things,
Hmm.
um, maybe with AI versus like saying you see less of the AI banners, I think, and more about,
Sure.
um,
Yeah, I mean, the message of just having it is not going to land anymore. It's a question of how it's being utilized. Um, and MCP, I think, is actually a pretty good example of that for how an MCP can help unlock further functionality. Our relaunch of Human in the Loop, one of the first episode for the relaunch involved MCP.
yes,
And that was a big discussion. And
yeah.
now Teikametrics MCP has an MCP and is releasing that. So let's talk a bit about that. Tell me about, well, just however you want to start that discussion, Alistair. Like, tell me a bit about the Teikametrics MCP.
I am super excited about our MCP, what it can do, and why it's different, and how we thought about it. And I think about, you know, if you think about the MCP concept as an API, what can it do to bring data into an LLM like a Claude or an OpenAI, and why is that valuable to one of our customers? And so I'll give you an example of where we've used an MCP strategy or utilized an MCP concept with Claude. A lot of our customer calls, a lot of our sales calls are recorded in a transcription tool called Ask Elephant. And all of those transcriptions are sort of in the Ask Elephant product, right? They're in that database. What's so cool about the MCP connection between Ask Elephant and Claude is you can now get all of those transcriptions into Claude, stitch them together with other pieces of information like our product data,
Mm.
and help our customers and our team do a better job with our customers. I feel like that example is what we've tried to replicate with our MCP strategy. Um, Specifically, we are not just taking the data that's already in Amazon, already in Walmart, already in TikTok. Because an Amazon MCP, which exists, could just do that. What
Right.
I wanted us to think about, what the teams thought about, and they've done a great job, is they've taken some of the data that's proprietary in our app. We've got so much data regarding optimization data, content data, especially with RE catalog, um, that's in our platform and not on Amazon, not on Walmart, not on TikTok.
Mm.
And so that's what we're exposing with the MCP strategy. And
Yeah.
so now I'll give you a really good example.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Um, if a customer is using RE catalog, which is so important right now with the July 27th Amazon content title change requirement, um, what a lot of brands are wanting to do is understand what changes our RE catalog has done, and
Mm.
they have the chance to review those in our interface. And we've done a good job of allowing everything to be reviewed before it gets published. But if you've got 10,000 SKUs, it's difficult to see that in the interface. And
Mm.
so a really good example of the MCP is taking those that content, that recommendation engine content that we've developed, which is all of the bullet points, all the item highlights, all of the description content, the RE catalog outputs. And now you can put that into Claude. And so maybe a brand has brand requirements
Mm.
that have certain voice and IP requirements regarding how they want their content to be reviewed. They can now ask Claude to check what RE catalog did.
Mm.
So that's, I think, a good example of what the MCP is going to allow our customers to do.
That's really interesting. And so the MCP, at least for now, it's less like asking Claude to take action on your behalf through Teikametrics and more so understanding data that's parsed through, right? Or can you take action through Claude via
Well,
the MCP?
first stage of yes, the first stage of our MCP strategy is surfacing first party unique data inside the RE platform, outside of the RE platform.
Yep.
And you put that into Claude and you can do so much with it. So for a customer, maybe they've got recommendation data from Teikametrics in our RE platform, but they want to stitch it together with recommendations from their inventory platform.
Mm.
And now they can do that inside of Claude. So they can someone using our MCP can now use Claude to kind of pull data from all of these different places and take our unique AI recommendation engines and really get a lot more value out of it. And I think that's a really good example of how you would want to use it.
That's really powerful. You mentioned this. I think I would like to hear from you why it's different than just leveraging something like Amazon's MCP to take action. What is the implication? Of course, the big picture is leveraging the Teikametrics platform, which is more than just Amazon. It's Walmart, it's TikTok, etc. But what are the real implications for being able to leverage Teikametrics MCP for something like this beyond just one marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, look, the I think the most important aspect when we approached the MCP strategy was to not necessarily imply that you would use Claude or another LLM to directly optimize your Amazon channel.
Yeah.
Our opinion on that, and my opinion on that, is there needs to be a more specific orchestration layer, a layer of verticalized AI technology, and that is what our RE product does.
Hmm.
Um, and so we don't really see the MCP strategy for Teikametrics to be where someone's going to use Claude to actually optimize the same levers. We feel like we've really created a much better solution for that. What I think the MCP strategy is going to be the most valuable for is other use cases, stitching inventory data together with Teikametrics, RE platform content information, for example, or our unique recommendations. Maybe they need to be reviewed with a finance team to understand like what changes were made around budgets, things like that. And so there are all these other use cases that I think people are finding with Claude. Um, I do not see our customers using Claude to directly optimize their Amazon ads, Walmart ads, and TikTok ads. That's what we've been
Yeah.
developing,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. What does success then look like for this MCP? Maybe for Teikametrics' sake.
I think it I think we're really excited to announce the beta, and so we've got our beta mcp.takeometrics.com URL, and we've had a lot of interest from existing customers, potentially new customers, brands that have very hands-on operators, and I think it's table stakes to be honest.
Yeah.
And so it was very important for us to think carefully before we just released an MCP just because. Um, and I think it's going to be interesting. And look, what's beautiful about this is we are probably going to learn a lot. We're probably going to find all these different use cases. Um, there's going to be some challenges that our product team, I expect, is going to have to think through because people are going to find use cases and ideas from using our MCP and Claude that I think are going to push us ahead with our core product. And so that's why I think talking to our customers, developing our design partner relationships with our customers is going to be really good. So I actually don't know. There's like infinite possibilities. We're going to wait and see what everyone does with the data.
I was going to say, I mean, it sounds like a calculated decision. It's opening a pretty wide door, I think, to our customers. It is almost like, I mean, I see it as an opportunity to, the possibilities are pretty far and wide for, I think, how people can leverage this. And I think part of the interesting thing will be evaluating just how our customers are able to leverage the MCP for their own benefit in ways that we probably can't even think of currently that that will end
Yeah.
up. And I'm assuming this will be the case for a lot of companies' MCPs that they end up releasing.
Look, I think what Claude and an MCP strategy is really good for is ingesting data from all of these disparate sources
Mhm.
and allowing a user and an operator or a brand owner or a business owner to use Claude to get all these different signals from these siloed data points. And that's where like the MCP strategy is kind of similar to an API. And effectively that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so you can now unlock your Teikametrics data, combine it with your inventory data or maybe your finance data. To me, that's what is today one of the best use cases of putting Claude together. And hypothetically, if you're an operator and you had to put reporting together instead of going into the Teikametrics system and having to download that and then taking it from another place, you can have all of those signals go automatically and through the MCP into Claude, and then you can ask all these different queries, and it's going to depend on all the different brands, right? Like, what are our brand operators wanting? What are they trying to stitch
Right.
together? So I'm really excited to see what people use it for. Um,
Me too.
and I think that's a value add, and I think that's going to strengthen what we're doing today with our core product.
What last question here? What's the timetable for the MCP?
Yeah, we're really excited. We're releasing it at the end of July. We've got a lot of interested customers already that have expressed interest. We've got a beta launch page, and so you can go to mcp.takeometrics.com, sign up, and you'll be one of the early users. and we're going to keep refining this and adding more data. We're going to explore the next level of read write capabilities in a really careful and thoughtful way to
Yeah,
allow potentially someone using Claude to make changes inside our platform. The first version of this will be more letting data out. But again, we're going to work with our design partners and get a lot of feedback.
it's great. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see how our customers use it and leverage it. More discussions in the future on the MCP for sure as it evolves and grows over time. But I'm excited about this. Alistair, thanks for breaking it down for us.
Cool. Thanks.